Hey. How are you all? Get ready for another Game of Thrones spoiler video of Episode 6 Season 7. This video contains major spoiler and leaks, which may potentially reveal what would happen during the entire episode. Most of the people are skeptical about the leaks, even I am, but this is 100% true. This is how the episode goes. The episode starts with the excursion beyond the wall, which includes Jon, Gendry, Thoros, Beric, Jorah, Tormund, the Hound, and 2 or 3 other unknown characters. Sir Davos does stay behind because he isn't much of a fighter and he would only slow the others down. The mission continues through the north. As they travel, a lot of conversations come up. This is when Jon offers Longclaw to Jorah. Jon Snow says that it belongs to him since it belonged to his family, but Jorah says, "No, you keep it. I am not worthy of carrying this sword. My father gave it to you for a reason." Tormund and the Hound have a conversation about Brienne. The Hound is amazed at how much Tormund admires and likes Brienne. Jon and Beric Dondarrion now have one thing in common, which is being brought back by Arhillar, and they discuss what it may mean and what their purpose might be. They continue north by trying to follow the vision the Hound saw in the flames. Finally they see the mountain shaped like an arrowhead. This is when a large blizzard starts, and they hear a weird growl which they can't seem to recognize, but then one of the unknown men tries to find out what it is. That's when out of nowhere a reanimated polar bear shreds the unknown man to pieces, but because of the heavy blizzard no one is sure what has happened, and that's when the beast attacks Thoros of the Mere. The beast stomps Thoros and gives him a few slashes with its claws, but Thoros is also giving the bear a few slashes with his flaming sword. When the Hound sees the flaming sword he freezes in the fear of flames. Between everyone there, they are able to kill the beast, but Thoros is badly wounded. Beric tries to cauterize his wounds with his flaming sword to try and save his life. The mission must continue, though with a man down and Thoros balancing between life and death things look dire. This is when they realize with the reanimated polar bear means that the White Walkers are not far and they must hurry, but they know they cannot avoid them. They run into a horde of whites and one White Walker. This is when Jon battles his second White Walker 1 vs 1. As Jon fights the White Walker, the others try to capture a white, but it is hard as the other whites also attack at the same time, but at last they finally capture one and either put him in chains or gag him / her to try to immobilize it. At this point the White Army attacks all at once without mercy, and the only thing the group can do is run. They decide they need to split up as they run to increase their chances of survival. Jon then commands Gendry to run back to Eastwatch and send a raven to Daenerys to come and rescue them. After they run for a while they come together on a frozen lake. All the movement and fighting eventually breaks up part of the ice and the group of men are stuck in the middle of the lake on a large piece of ice that floats above the other smaller pieces of ice. They then make a circle and wait for the incoming horde of whites, but the horde doesn't come right away, so they have to wait till they attack. While all of this going on, Thoros of Mere eventually succumbs to his injuries and dies. Beric then takes his flaming sword and burns Thoros to avoid him coming back as a white. The Night King comes out from afar and stares at Jon Snow, and Jon stares back without fear. The lake begins. Tormund is almost overrun during the attack, but he is saved by a fellow companion. During this time some of them are fighting alone and others are fighting together. It is chaos and not looking good when all of a sudden we hear the famous dragon roars of Drogon, Viserion, and Rhaegal. Daenerys has come to save the day, but she must first help fight back the whites and find a place to land that wouldn't cause the ice to break, so her dragons or Jon and co don't drown. As everyone starts getting on Dragon and Rhaegal as Viserion kills his whites from above. Jon stays back fighting whites on his own to let the group board the dragons. Jon stands there basically saying, "Here I am," so the whites will attack him and not his companions, that way they can escape. As the group is trying to escape, the Night King takes spear made out of crystal ice and he launches it at Viserion's neck, who is flying overhead. With one throw the spear goes into the dragon's neck and brings it down. Viserion crashes into the frozen lake which breaks the ice making him go into the water and sink under the water. Jon runs to climb onto Drogon, but he falls when Dragon takes off, and Jon falls into the lake as well. Daenerys sees that Jon is pretty much a goner. Somehow the survivors are able to keep the captured White with them. After all this a wounded Jon gets out of the lake, but he is in trouble because the whole army of dead is there surrounding him. This is when his uncle Benjen comes in to save him, and he has his ball of fire and starts killing several Whites. He clears out a section of the Whites and he gives Jon his horse so he can get out of there and make it back to the wall, but Benjen is presumably killed while Jon rides off. The survivors make it back to the East Watch and Daenerys is traumatized and heartbroken for the loss of her child as any mother would, but the mission continue. Jon arrives at East Watch badly wounded. He is loaded onto a ship heading towards King's Landing along with Daenerys and the others. The Hound is trusted with taking the White to the Dragon Pit. On the ship, Daenerys goes to check on the wounded Jon Snow. While checking on Jon, he realizes how hurt Daenerys actually is, so he tries to console her, which is when Daenerys tells him, "He was like a son to me, it's like they have taken my son from me." Daenerys begins to tell Jon, "I promise I will defeat the Night King." Jon tells Daenerys, if she does indeed join him with fighting the Night King, he will bend the knee. Jon then calls her Dany, which surprises her, and Daenerys says, "No one has called me Dany since my brother." Jon then says, "What would you like me to call you, my grace, my queen?" Daenerys says, she didn't meant it like that, it's just been a while since someone has called her that and it was very personal. Jon goes on to say, he would bend the knee, but he physically can't because he is so hurt. This takes Daenerys by surprise again, and she says, "You would bend the knee? What about those who follow you?" The scene cuts back to the north, where the Night King orders Viserion to be pulled from the lake. The Whites pull him out of the lake using chains. Viserion is dead, but then he opens his eyes as blue as the Night King's. Then the episode ends. And guys, the sources for this leak will be provided down below. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Like this video and subscribe to our channel for more.